You're South Point Catholic too.
Oh, yeah, he just runs this down.
Is he gonna hawk this
Look
kid?
how fast he's going.
21.9.
Yeah, let's get it. Let's get it.
In the last 4 days, we've gotten eight commitments since the beginning of the weekend. Let's start out. I think we've been tweeting a lot about this guy, and for good reason. And I want to start here, and just it's not starting directly at the bottom, but I'm just eager to talk about this kid, Dominic Macon. Obviously he committed today. The thing that we're all joking, well, we're not even joking about it. It's just an observation. This kid's the heavyweight champ. He's legit. He's the Undertaker of Oregon. He's basically there's not a whole lot when you look at him that there's lacking. He's got the size, the speed, the length, and he's a bruiser. I'll pull this up and just so that we can watch him. But Noah, did you get a chance to watch this kid today, and did you have any thoughts as we're watching this film here?
Yeah, no, I mean, the two words that come to mind is untapped potential, man. I mean, I was telling Stein before we kicked off here, I think he was on the defensive side of the ball, but he was lining up like an offensive lineman in the sense of, I'm not sure that he has been coached up to be like some elite defensive lineman yet.
Mm-hmm.
Then you see him just shuck and shed guys, use his hands. I'm not sure he knows how to use his hips or his leverage. Obviously, you see the wrestling mentality, just throwing guys out of the way. But I mean, his upside is just extremely intriguing. Couple years down the road, man, I mean, this guy is an absolute prototypical 3 technique, kind of that position that is so hard to find. And then, I mean, if he puts on serious size at 6'4" with the 80-inch wingspan, in 6'4", 330, how about that for a nose tackle as well? I mean, he has everything you're looking for.
Yeah, it's Big Ten football.
Oh,
I mean,
I love what Megan said. In his commitment breakdown, basically, he flashes a quick first step, can play behind the line of scrimmage, and we could see him developing into a solid pass rusher as well. And he's only scratching the surface of where we think his game will be at in a few years from now. And that was my immediate take. I mean, he's raw. But you run like a 5.16 at a camp at 300 pounds. You 80-inch, wingspan. That's what you want in a prototypical defensive tackle.
Noah, you were telling me on the phone when we were talking about this kid today.
Yep.
And I know that I talked to KP briefly today, and I know he's excited about him as well. About being a wrestler and the advantages that provides you, because it's not lost on us. Basically, we have a bunch of wrestling studs on the defensive line that are young. Omar Khan in this year's class or last year's class, who's on campus now, and then this kid. Why? I mean, outside of the obvious things, hey, you're used to being in a low stance and throwing dudes around, and you're huge, and you're going up against other huge people. Why is it such an advantage to have a wrestling background when you're playing on the defensive line?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, I would say leverage is the biggest thing I would look for in a defensive lineman. Being able to control your body and have that discipline. Wrestlers are just gritty, man. They have that mental strength, that resilience that you're looking for. I mean, from a defensive tackle, you're in the box. You have to make quick decisions. I mean, that's what wrestling is. And I look at him, and it just shows me that if he has the grit to win a heavyweight state title, I think he has the grit to learn to become an elite football player too. But strictly football, you learn leverage when you're a heavyweight wrestler. You learn leverage when you're a wrestler in general. So that's kind of what excites me about him. The name that comes to mind is the big boy that we had playing alongside Vita Vea out of California.
Oh, God.
Nope, it's play for the Rams.
Jalen Johnson.
No,
You're talking
play
about
for the
Greg Gaines.
Gaines.
Great
He was
man
a-
Gaines.
Yeah, he was a
Really?
heavyweight wrestler. Heavyweight
he was.
wrestler as well. And that's the biggest thing. You could see it in his ass. He could settle. He could sit there. He could shuck and shed guys, and he never got moved out of his spot. And that's what I think you could see with Macon is once he sets his hands, sets his feet, you can't move me out of my spot. So I think that wrestling background allows him to get off of double teams, still make plays. The big thing with the defensive lineman, especially in the defense that these guys run, is they're expecting their two big boys up front or their three big boys up front to eat up blockers and allow their linebackers and their outside linebackers to make plays.
No
If you have
kidding.
big bodies like this that can set the tone up front, set that anchor, we can be very successful. And so that's kind of what I see with Macon.
You know what's interesting about that comp is, like, to me, that's not super obvious because Gaines was never a length guy, right? And when I watch this kid, like, you see him stand upright. Look at him run across the field. Like, Greg Gaines is not doing that. So, like, I think what's interesting about the last point that you made is that if they're going to run like basically the defensive line is a little bit more spread out, right? It's three hands in the dirt and then your two edges stand, correct? Or is it's not always the same, right?
I mean, so in the defense, you think it looks like we're going to run. You could have two guys standing. You could have four guys hands in the dirt and another guy standing on the outside. So
my point is with that is that if his job is to eat up multiple dudes at one time, right? Like take on double teams on a regular basis, you want him. There was a clip at the beginning of this. I think it's like honestly, it's one of the first plays.
Hey, Izzo, can you drop the Twitch link in Discord just so we can click on it too, so we can watch what you're sharing?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. You guys can't see. Let me share my screen if you're in the Discord here. But he eats a double team at the beginning of his clip package. And to your point, where's my little share screen button? To your point, like if you're going to be a little bit more spread out or what have you, and his job is to eat up multiple blocks, like being long, I think you might even present more problems. Or am I wrong on that? Because I just envision
absolutely.
Maybe you're not running forward like this, but it feels like if you're longer and you're like taking up more space, that's going to present more problems, and it's like basically a perfect fit for him in this role.
So instead of it being like this, right? Look at me, Izzo.
Yeah.
Instead of it being here, right? It's actually like here. That's where your shuck is. That's your first shuck, and you got the guy coming on your shoulder. But you have that guy pressed. You can get him off you and then deal with this guy here, right? It's not so much here, this length. It's getting rid of this guy. He's gone now, and then you can get back into this guy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Instead of having shorter arms, this guy's closer to this double team, so these guys can work together.
Mm-hmm.
If you have those long arms here, all right, that's a little bit extreme for a podcast, but
yeah, you had to show off the guns, dude.
Yeah, that's what I was working. That's what I was trying to do. But
no,
that's where the length comes, is like the arm length to get rid of like those guys out in front.
Okay, and I'm gonna figure out. God, I'm fumbling around so much. Where's my stuff?
We're good.
Where's my screen?
It's our first one back in a couple months.
Yeah, I'm shaking off the cobwebs, guys. I was trying to share my friggin' screen. Oh well, whatever.
The other guy that's exciting, and not to just bump him because he's our highest rated commit right now, is the Vander Ploog kid is
there we go.
He's Antonio Gates, in a young fro, California body, man.
Yeah,
that kid goes up and gets it. Basketball background, 6'6", 225. It's exciting, man. That's a vertical threat that can get up and down the field. But it sounds like from hearing what some of his coaches were saying too, he ain't afraid to block either. And I mean that's an offensive coaches, Brendan Carroll, offensive coordinators,
that like when you watch him, you're just like, okay, this is like the receiving threat of all receiving threats at tight end. And so that's good to hear.
6'6", 225. I mean, 6'6", 250, 255, 260, and he don't even, you know what I mean by that? Like, he's 255, and he's still athletic as hell.
Watch this.
Yeah.
I know everybody saw this today.
Get off me.
I don't know if he shouldn't have got flagged for that. That's bullshit. You can't help.
He called that on Ploog?
Yeah, I assume so. Well, who's he gonna call it on? Wait, where did it go?
That weak little DB he trucked.
Yeah, it's the next one.
Watch him outrun this number 20.
God, I am all over the board, everybody. Sorry.
27, whatever he is. Get off me. He's trash.
Here you go. Because I assume he's getting like a taunting for standing over the kid, but what are you supposed to do? This kid is 5'3", he's $160. Poor guy. I don't mean to dunk on that kid, but good lord.
That was Jake Lyons out there. Sorry, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it's really obvious what's very cool about this, and this is something I picked up on, and I'm sure other people, I'm not alone on this, but it seems like the guys that we're getting, there's a lot of that. He's played football for 2 years.
Yep.
His parents were like, if I read correctly, even I think on Biggin's thing here, he mentions it, that his parents were both athletes and his grandfather was of an athlete or something like that. His grandfather is the head women's basketball coach at Azusa. So, one, the kid's going to be coachable. Like, he's playing multi-sports. I assume, for him to pick up football in this way, I mean, obviously he's got the physical traits advantages there, but I'm just going to assume that he's probably moldable. And so even if he's not a perfect blocker, I think he can get there. But it seems like that the Huskies are taking these freak athletes to fill their roster positions, to fill this class out with 23, 24. And it might not be like this 5-star kid, this 4-star kid that, well, I mean, he is a 4-star kid, but you're 94 where you beat out Georgia for every single guy, or beat out USC or Oregon or what have you, for every single guy, but that they're bringing in these freak athletes that are not huge projects. Like, sometimes we'll bring in guys who are big time projects that are really, really raw. But like, we just looked at the kid before this, Dominic Macon, and he's raw, but it's not like he's super far away. Plus, I assume that if you're that high level of a wrestler, you're probably pretty coachable as well. So I think about some of these guys where it's like, who we compete with Ploog. We beat out Cal, Utah, some of these other schools that, aren't champ, the offensive lineman that we got, his offer list. But dude, this kid is very clearly somebody to get excited about.
Dude, anytime that you tell me that Utah's after a kid we're after, I don't care if he's a 2-star, 3-star, 12-star. Give me him all day, because I respect the hell out of that staff. And Izzo, I want to give you one name that Ploog reminds me of: old school dog. People might get a little PTSD from some of his off the field actions. What are your thoughts with the Jeremy Stevens, bro?
Ooh, I mean, he's got to put on more weight, but he has.
I mean, Jeremy Stevens. No, hold on. Jeremy Stevens was 6'7", like 225 coming out of high school.
Yeah, he was like,
he's 6'6", 223.
Wait. Oh, coming out of high school, I was gonna say, wait a second.
No, he was like 260 in the NFL and for the Dogs. But I'm saying, like, dude, yeah, look him up. I think he's like 6'7", 260. But I'm telling you, no, he's too old for that.
I think one of the cool things that, again, going
so you can get his high school stats. I'm telling you, he reminds me a lot of Jeremy Stevens, and I'll tell you why. The way he high points the football and catches it with his hands. That's what the big thing. Now, Jeremy forgot to do that in the Super Bowl in 05-06, but other than that, he reminds me a lot of Jeremy Stevens.
We're not going to find his way. What were you saying, Stein?
I was going to say, one of the things that I really like, and it goes back to what
Stein,
basically, like,
oh no,
you hear me all right?
On that.
I can hear you just fine. No, I think you're not hearing Maddie.
Okay.
Maybe.
Oh, my bad. Okay, go ahead, Stein.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to touch on with Ploog is going back to those relationships,
mm-hmm.
right? Same thing, same way they played it at Arizona with Fafita and Tet McMillan and those Servite kids. And one of the big things with that is Dash played sevens with Vander Ploog. Like, that's his dude.
Yeah.
And so, dude for Ploog was, brought on, in part by Dash and stuff like that. So the fact that like these guys are really communicating and, getting involved in it, it's what you want to see with a class is those relationships. And now you're starting to see it with like the offensive line in, you got Camp like recruiting off of lava, etc., like that sort of stuff.
No, that's a great call. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was funny because when you tweeted this at him, he kind of like showed us cards. He might have well committed right there. So you're not gonna quote tweet dude for Ploog for Matt Stein and then be like, actually, we're going to Utah. So
might have had some inside information on
Hey,
that
so
one.
tell me this real quick. I can't tell if I'm cutting off. I can't hear Steiny.
I would just drop Noah and then hop back in because
I think that was my problem. I accidentally dropped and then had to come back in, and it messed us up.
I think it's just a connection thing for Noah. I think when he hops back in, it'll be fixed. But yeah, that's a great point, man. You absolutely love to see that.
Yeah. And then now you see like Julian McMahon, for example, like getting on board with the offensive lineman too, and taking his official visit photos with, off of lava and Elijah Vacona being like, hey, come on, teammates, like come block for me, kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's something that's super cool.
So just for the people who are in here too, we will get to talking about some players that we believe are going to commit. So just as a heads up, like a little nugget there for you at the end. And maybe not even at the end, we'll kind of pepper them in as well. But yeah, that was awesome. Kudos to you for having the scoop on that. That's very cool. A huge commitment. I mean, now you're looking at and we'll get to this a little bit later, but I think for me, what I want to do is I want to compare classes maybe toward the end of this with Kalen DeBoer's first class versus how this class is trending.
Are we talking 2023, his only class?
Yes. Because I think judging year one off of year one, right? Huh?
Yeah, I don't count 2022. No. Like that was he came in screwed.
And these players are very good, by the way. But I want to look at it like from an optics standpoint, because I think, a lot of people, of course, they're going to focus on, we're all going to focus on stars and stuff like that. But I'll be curious to see how this class shakes out compared to KDB's first year. Because I think, we want to see improvement from what KDB was doing, but it's also like, these classes are pretty good. This class was very good. Anyways,
I think we should move on to the next tight end, our other 4-star tight end. Shout out, happy birthday, Pow Pow! Right, great birthday gift. Get a couple of 4-star tight ends, and obviously the number one player in the state of Oregon. And Barron. Wes Lynn is a powerhouse. He's started, as a sophomore on varsity. Won a state championship with the new ASU QB Sam Levitt. They went 11-1 last year. Like, he's a complete tight end, and I think is a great compliment to Vander Ploog.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It should not be overshadowed that we got 2 high quality tight ends with significant experience and significant upside.
Great.
My mind immediately goes when I look at size and weight, and then you consider that he's like a fantastic blocker, kind of looks like refined, like one of the more refined players in this class. Would you guys agree in terms of just like
Westy?
He reminds me of Westy for sure.
Yeah, that's why I took the dub. I was hoping. I thought that you were gonna say.
Yeah, I think it's a really hard not to make that comp. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about with him, just because like he is very solid. Like he's like a
I think he's a really good football player.
Yeah, like
I mean, watch him on the defensive side of the ball too.
Yeah. Oregon State legacy as well. So obviously, I think what was it? His brother posted on Instagram stories, or one of his siblings or family members was like, "Hey, look, now I get to still hate the Ducks," kind of thing.
Yeah,
so
love it.
Shout out to that. Oregon State really wanted him. They had him committed at one point. He probably would have been like one of their highest commits in this class. And, obviously that relationship with Pau dating back all the way to Arizona, and probably, potentially even further than that is huge. And he's just that quiet professional. It's going to give you exactly what you need. And I think this tight end room has a amazing future in front of it with, when you're looking at like a Charlie Crowell, you're looking at a Decker DeGraff, you're looking at, the upperclassmen after this year will be a Ryan Otten, who's significantly increased his, weight. And that's the one thing that we were, questioning on that is can he get that size up? You're looking incredibly stacked in that tight end room.
Yep.
Izzo, go back to like the 145 on the huddle film. He gets coming. Yeah, right here. Watch his block, dude. Like that defensive end for a high school defensive end is not small. When he punks that kid, like the guy willing to get his nose in there like that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Not the best technique from that defensive end outside linebacker, but just shows you the willingness for a tight end to get in there and get dirty.
Yeah, Jack Westover. He literally is Jack Westover. Yeah, it's cool. He's a great addition because I just think he solidifies the class in terms of just you have someone who is going to be like there's no difficult path because he's only played 3 years of football or something like that, or 2 years. He's just a solid bet, man, and great addition. Pow's doing his Pow thing.
Dude, Pow, was that Kevin Cummings who tweeted that out today or yesterday? Just about how he just delivers, man. I mean, can you click on Pow and just look at the
yeah, we do this. This is our.
I know it's just routine. Nuts, though.
We have to.
It's just crazy, though. I mean, both these guys are like NFL type, like potential bodies. I mean, he just continues to just deliver. What did Jimmy Lake? Not to give people PTSD, but Jimmy Lake said we don't ever recruit players that we don't feel can play in the NFL, and it's like I think Pow, man, he lives by that.
Yeah, that's a decent list, I would say.
I mean, look at this, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad.
And not even just tight ends. I mean, Rifo Tano up there. There's Drew Sample down there. Dom Hampton. I mean, goodness.
This was a big snag at the time too. Mark Redmond.
Oh yeah, Redmond, big time. Hunter Bryant. Latu, first round pick. Byron Murphy. I mean, dude, he's an absolute monster, bro.
The machine.
He never disappoints with who he gets. It's fantastic. Let's move on. I want to kind of ask Matt. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch a lot of Darian Clemons. I know a lot of people have. I haven't watched him a ton, but I've heard very, very good things, specifically about his speed. So this was go ahead.
He's stupid fast. I think some people have posted like G and said 4.3 speed. Obviously, I'm not really positive. I'd have to. I'll let you know in a minute. I'll look at athletic.net and see what his 100-meter times were. But
I think
basically,
10.8.
Yeah. So one of the things that they're going after or that he's working on, because I was talking with Frank Murdoch, who's one of his coaches and stuff like that, is they're working on his aggressiveness. So I think that's one thing that I'm going to be looking out for his senior season. I haven't watched his film, honestly, in a couple of months.
Can you guys see my screen?
One of the things,
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. Sorry, go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
one of the things that stands out to me is that speed, and more specifically the ability to stay with any receiver, like any receiver.
Yeah.
So I think he's a little bit more polished than Caleb Presley was at this point in time.
Sure.
So we'll see what the upside is too.
Man, that room is deep, man. Deep with young talent. The whole DB room. It'll be really interesting to see who kind of puts themselves where in the pecking order. Great get, hometown get, Spanaway Lake. You just love to see it. I know this makes the focus on getting guys at home. I know has been a priority for sure from the beginning. Whether it's Dimitri Manning, even though he goes to Oregon and whatnot, they really prioritize that kid. That had nothing to do with us not showing him enough love. He felt a lot of love from us. And then you have ZRS out there, and you have this kid, like you're starting to, put together guys into the class who then you with him and Epperson to be like, let's do this together. Zadrius.
Yeah. Well, and fun fact on that one, he is really tight with Rainy Sale.
Yeah.
Or Saleh ZRS.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're tight. Like that could be a huge asset in that recruitment.
For the YouTube folks who watch this on YouTube who aren't familiar with maybe who we're talking about, we're talking about the number one player in the state who we have not secured the commitment yet from, but it sounds like it's down to UCLA and us. And we'll have to see how that shakes out. But he's a key. ZRS is like the key way to tell this story in a positive manner around this entire class, because it's already got the bones. And if and when he commits to UW, he will be the head of that skeleton that has just a really cool story to it for this entire class, and obviously optically bumps it quite a bit. Cool. Any thoughts on him? Have you watched much?
Yeah. The only thing I was going to say about him is obviously speed kills. Looking at him from somebody who you are looking to get a little bit of, want to see. Oh,
I still gotcha. I lost.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
No, I'm here. I had an ad come up. I just wanted to say, when looking at Darian Clemons and kind of looking at some of his schedule, he plays Yelm, Olympia, Graham Kapowson, Bethel, and he has a very, from a Washington State, Oma football, he has a star-studded schedule coming up. So if we want to see how physical he's kind of grown, if that's kind of what his coaches are looking for, his high school schedule is about as tough as it's going to get. So you'll see it early on. We'll see kind of how he jumps against some really good talent in high school. But like I said, I mean, speed kills, especially at the cornerback position. When you have his type of speed, his agility, his hips, I'm looking forward to see if maybe he could even return some punts for us or kickoffs. So,
yeah, there's a couple of those guys, dude, in this class.
I know,
and in that
you can never have too many of those guys, though, man.
Is like this staff is speed addicted, straight up. Like they really, really prioritize it. Obviously, look at Zona. And so yeah, there's like 3 or 4 guys who you could anyways, if we get RDA, that's another one. Dezmen Roebuck. Now, our boy Jacob Saligo. Let's talk about Dezmen here. Jacob Saligo's
off the radar.
Yeah, I had no idea. Typically, I like to. I know stuff. Recruiting. Yada yada.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that kid was.
No idea I didn't even know he was on campus. And so that was awesome. Like Saliga, it was such a cool way for the commitment to come out because I didn't necessarily see it. I wasn't prepared for it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden I get a tag from Jacob Saliga like, dude, you guys just got a phenomenal athlete that is flying under the radar in this kid. Matt, Noah, have you guys watched him at all yet, or should we just watch him together?
Oh yeah,
You have?
I definitely have, but we should definitely watch him more. Somebody said, I think it was G again, with the great quotes. Somebody tell this kid that he's 5'10", 160 because he doesn't play like it.
Shout out
Like
G.
the way he high points the ball is masterful.
Play this. I mean, watch his very first catch, bro.
Yep.
So I was going to point this out before we watch his catches. Dude, this guy's stats are freakish.
Stupid, bro.
Yeah, super consistent. So let's watch him.
First game of the season, he had 145 yards against South Point Catholic, which is right there.
Well, it's interesting. Like, was this a pass heavy offense? Like, how do you have two back-to-back seasons as a sophomore and a junior with over 1,250 yards as a receiver, and you're not a
look at the yak right there.
That is ridiculous. Somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, never mind. I'm not even gonna go off on that tangent." There was somebody who responded to Jacob Saliga's tweet, like, it was like, "Who is this kid? We didn't even want him." And it's like, tell me you don't know shit about this player without telling me you don't know shit.
Look at that.
Yeah,
that's it.
And
you can play at 5'10" if you can catch the ball all over the place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like if you can catch the ball in your full wingspan, in your full radius, it doesn't matter if you're 5'10".
Bro, he's got the bunnies too.
Yep. Sorry, Steiny, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So it looks like they were pass heavy. About 3,600 last season, about 3,600 passing yards to 1,100 rushing yards. But looks like they ran it more once they got into the red zone. And I mean, the next closest receiver on his team to him, he had 1,332 receiving yards last year. The next closest receiver was 483.
I like that kid a lot, bro.
Wow.
So
huge piece of the offense, obviously.
The other thing I just want to say this too, this is a little bit of a shout out to Saliga, is I don't think that Saliga is just like a Twitter guy. I mean, he goes to what did he tell you one time, Stein? Doesn't he try to go to like 3 high school games a week or something crazy like that? And like he knows
he grinds and he's a coach.
Yeah,
like he's a real deal on that one. Roebuck 121 receptions. Next closest guy to him 40. Like definitely, they know he's the best player on the team. I'm sure the opposing defenses knows.
Get him the ball,
and he's still getting open. He's still that's double coverage right there. That's like,
bro.
This is South Point Catholic again right here.
Yep. Now their corners weren't as good. Their D line he's getting smothered, but that's
him and Ray Devine's bright or like twins, bro. Like speedy, pretty much similar
ball
size,
hawks, bro.
Yeah.
Dougie Baldwin and Golden Tate.
So this is coming. So imagine this kid on what's the team that IMG in Florida. What? Just think about the ratings difference and like this kid being an 86 versus this kid who's like, if you put them on the same side of the field together and you ran them in crossers and stuff like that, they look identical out there, like just in terms of the traits. And one is that, I love, obviously we love RVB. Both of these kids are going to be amazing athletes and great at UW for a long time, but it's interesting how it shakes out and how the optics work within this, because this kid, does anybody not want to, does anybody go, yeah, there's stuff to be desired? Like, look at him cracking dudes on defense. Like,
And his future might be on defense. You never know. Like you definitely start him out.
Yeah. I mean, that's just solid route. Like, I know it's just a cross over the middle, but like,
he's going to be a 4-year varsity starter this season. So, and he has led his team. Oh, sorry. His freshman year, he was second on the team in receiving yards.
Yeah.
But, like,
good luck to this guy. Watch him in space. I mean, he's never out of like. Good luck to good. Yeah, bye, buddy.
No yeah, shot. They used him like Singer and Cowing. Like they're gonna get him. They're gonna get him the ball.
I love it,
dude. When he was a sophomore, his team went 10-2, lost to Notre Dame Prep in the playoffs. Like they lost to Notre Dame Prep like late in the playoffs. Dude, I guess where I was going with this is, I wanted to see if if they asked our young quarterback from Basha, you know anything about this kid? Like, what does he look like? Have you played against him or 7-on-7 tournaments or whatever it was? I'm sure. I mean, Arizona football is not that big, right? Especially
they played sevens together. Actually, yeah. Let me look.
They're all really tight down there. Like
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
I remember where he played. I know. So he played sevens for Tucson Turf, and I can't remember if that's what do you call it? If that's what who Damon played for. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Sure.
But either way, like those Arizona kids like know each other. Like RVB was hyping it up.
That's what I mean. Exactly.
A couple of our other commits were hyping it up as well.
Okay, so let's go. While you're looking that up, we'll put a bookmark in that. Continue to do so because I want to hear what you come out of that with. Let's look at RVB because he may or may not be a Husky. Just got to watch this live. Is the stream going to be put on YouTube? Yes, it is. Yeah, let's look at Ryland. So this is another kid from Arizona that we're referencing. If you're in the Discord, you know all about this kid. If you're not, then let me introduce you to who. Matt, you were saying like if this kid commits to UW, he might be your favorite player in the class, right?
Ryland Dillard Allen?
Yeah.
Big facts. 100%. What's that commitment date? Does it still say the 27th of July or did it update? Yeah, July 27th. Yeah. We got a little bit to wait.
What is the actual commitment date?
That's the one that's posted on his Twitter right now. Obviously, could that change? Sure. But I mean it's been out there since mid-June.
Wait, are you just so I'm understanding, are you guys thinking that I know he has other offers? Looks like UCLA and Texas A&M are right there, but I was hearing really good things.
Actually, Texas A&M, I want to say might be out, but I don't know. I was just talking what Izzo was showing here. Are you thinking that he might not end up being a dog?
No, I was just pivoting just because we were bringing up kids from Arizona.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, but Matt had said this, and I watched a lot of this film, but Matt was saying that basically this kid, when he commits, he'd be like number 1 or number 2 in terms of his favorite recruiting class. I know a lot of people feel the same. Like the thing that pops to me about him is that it's not just the speed. Like it's really obvious that he is a next level athlete and the instincts are there.
What's the knock on him? It looks like size. Probably.
Yeah, but
that's why he's a nickel.
Height, but he hits like it, he's like ferocious and he comes downhill and it's 0-60 immediately with him. Seems to be in the right place at the right time.
Sorry. They did not play on the same 7-on-7 team, just to clarify. But they clearly would know each other. RDA, on the other hand, did play with Demond.
So,
You're telling me the next like 4 to 5 years of Allen and Raheem Wright?
Yeah, that's
They're, like,
exactly
Michael?
what I was just gonna bring up.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
let's
man.
dance, baby.
Yeah, I'm good with that. 100%.
That's killers, bro. I mean, like what was one of the big things Peterson used to talk about? Like dudes that just love the game. Like you can't tell me you watch this film and these guys don't love the game of
Mhm.
football. They just put their freaking head in there and they just want to absolutely like cleat your ass.
Yep.
What's up, dog? Yeah, we can get that little shoulder check.
Build the hole, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the secondary has an identity. Him and who's the kid from Washington? I always blank his name.
You talking about Rashawn Clark?
Rashawn Clark. Like those three.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of guys back there, but I mean, there's just no way we don't come out of this with, if you get RDA, there's just no way that this doesn't project to just you having a very good defensive backfield for a really long time, because there's too many good athletes in the backfield.
Shout out to Jay,
Dude,
Rich, and
Rashawn-
Vinny.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Rashawn Clark, man, not to go to 24, but man, I'm telling you, dude, that kid, it could be special.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
he is
All
he's like
conference.
Lawyer Malloy light, bro. I'm telling you. Like he can be a game wrecker.
Well, somebody was pointing out in the chat they got him listed on Go Huskies right now as an athlete too. Like,
Yep.
I wonder if you
At one point, he was like a he said he was like strictly a corner, right?
No, it was he wanted to play wide receiver, and this
No. That was like
that was
that was like 2 years ago,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and Utah was after him.
Yeah, but then
Ow.
at some point, like he got moved, and he said, "Yeah, I'll play cornerback." But I'm like, I remember talking to one of the recruiting staffs at UW in probably 2022, and both of us were in agreement. Like, dude, this kid's an NFL safety as like a sophomore, junior in high school, like prototype wise. I mean, he is just thick, can run, can hit, can catch. I mean,
It's
he's
the
everything
lower
you're looking
body.
for.
That lower body
Yeah,
is, I mean, he's 180 pounds, but he can get up to 200.
for me,
Easy,
it's
and-
his hands, dude.
That's why I
Yeah.
agree.
Like his ball skills are over the top, but so are RDA's. To be honest with you, man.
There's South Point Catholic too.
Oh, yeah, he just runs us down.
Is he gonna hawk this
Look
kid?
how fast he's going.
21-point count.
Yeah.
All right. I love, RDA. I'm with you on that. I just love this class. It's it's pretty deep, man.
I want to go into one of the other recent commits
Okay.
because he's honestly, I think between of the guys that have committed, that I would say are more of like sleepers.
Sure.
It's Donovan Robinson. Like
Oh,
Donovan
okay.
Robinson is a dude.
Okay.
He is.
Or middle linebacker.
Yeah, he's going to be one of those. It's
Oh
you
my God.
you take him as an athlete and you figure it out
Yes.
as he
Great.
develops.
Yep.
I know that's
Train him.
Izzo, explain that real quick. We talked about this the other day. Didn't you say you heard from one of your sources that like that was one thing is kind of Jedd's kind of big on is, I know some other programs are like, oh, I just don't know where he'd play, but Jedd's more along the lines of like, dude, you can't pass an athlete like this.
No, yes, and also just you can see it. It's not even just chatter. It's literally 1 through 12, 1 through 15, or however many commits we have right now. Like none of them, you're like, I don't know about him as an athlete. Like everybody's a freak athlete, dude.
That closing speed right there to recover was just nice.
I like him at.
I'm not
like him at
saying he's
outside
an elite
linebacker.
athlete, but yeah, I mean, I kind of like him at middle linebacker. You could teach him how to read the freaking offensive lineman.
I just think
Yeah,
he's-
I'm leaning more
six-
towards like either
Yeah.
big nickel kind of a thing, and like a 3 safety look. I think it's what they're kind of looking at for like Harrington for this season.
way different
Harrington's sitting
players
up-
though, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
Harrington's 5'11". This kid is 6'3", 210 right now.
Harrington, I want to say is 6'1".
Dude, Izzo, do me a favor.
Maybe you're right.
Look up Azim Victor 247 really quick.
That's a nice comp.
I think I'll explain my case. I'll state my case for outside linebacker in a second, but I want to hear your guys' cases first.
I have to type in 247 just for it to pop.
Oh, you just want
Harrington is 3209.
All right. 6'3", 231.
Yeah, dude.
I did not realize he was that. I didn't realize he was that tall.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude,
Azim
he
was
a freaking man child.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
and I don't think Azim was some crazy like recruit, you know, like.
I'd be curious to see like the hip rotation stuff. You know, like
That's what I'm saying. If you type in Azim Victor 247, get his huddle. I wonder.
Yeah. So, like I said, Justin Harrington right now is 6'3", 209.
Okay,
So-
I stand way corrected. I thought he was like 5'11".
Oh man,
Wow. Okay.
247.
because I think Oklahoma had him listed at like 215, 220.
Yeah, look. Oh, scroll up, Izzo. Look at this. Scroll up. No, one more.
Viewer
Look at
recruiting profile.
84, dog.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's 84.
It's a
Dude, he doesn't.
huge miss.
Dude, he doesn't get in trouble or whatever happened to break his leg and then get in trouble with some off-field issues. Dude, you cannot tell me he's not an NFL freaking linebacker. That kid is a monster.
Yeah. Okay. I
His
stand
teammate.
corrected.
Yeah, sorry. Whatever. Yeah.
My thought is like, and dude, you've played more defense. You know, you've played more football than I have on defense. When I saw him, the first thing that jumped out to me was like, I wonder what this kid looks like rushing the passer. But he doesn't really have a whole lot of tape of it on it. You know, right here,
No, I
he's
think
getting
more of a
touched.
coverage threat.
So maybe you're onto something there.
Once again, I'm not saying he's Azim Victor. I'm just saying, like, can he move to 6'3", 225 and play linebacker and learn how to kind of read the inside of the offensive line, make moves,
look at
and
that.
flip his hips and run with a running back? I mean, to me, he can, you know?
I'm sure he can.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can. It'll be interesting. We'll see how it shakes out.
Here's an interesting thing I just saw. Alan True says he'll have to get used to being in the box more, taking on blocks more, but he has the tall physical ability to be able to do that, and he will be a real asset in coverage as a backer. What team is he on? 14-0? That's naughty. They win the state title?
From Illinois, dude.
Yeah. For his level, I want to say.
And it's a cool to me. Like I really like this ad because you just got, like you said at the beginning of all this discussion, Noah, is you just didn't turn. You're not going to turn down this athlete. He's gonna figure it. Wherever they put him, he's gonna figure it out. Like you just don't have.
You know who I'm
that
surprised?
size speed.
You know who I'm surprised didn't swoop him up? No joke. Is a team like Minnesota, a team like
They tried to.
Wisconsin. Oh, they did. Okay.
They tried. Basically,
Got
we
it.
beat Minnesota for him. Like he OV'd there before us, but basically when he unofficially visited here in April, like while he was still committed to Virginia, I want to say, I think he was still committed to Virginia at the time, or maybe he had just decommitted. But like, that's when he they identified him and went after him hard and pushed to get him.
Yeah,
He officially
Because
visited Minnesota. Okay, yeah, dude. I mean, he looks like an Iowa, Minnesota,
Yeah.
Wisconsin type kid.
yeah, I could see that.
yeah,
Someone who plays after 3.5 years. You know, it's like 6'3", 225. He's a redshirt junior. Just an absolute stud. You know, like he reminds me a lot of that type of player.
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, if you look at he's the number
who will have to
19
face in the Big
player.
Ten every week.
Yeah, he's the number 19 rated player in the state of Illinois, and basically, you're talking about some of the bigger schools that I think we're going to look back at it in 3 years, and they're going to say, you know, some of these they're not bigger schools, but other big schools like us, they're going to see that's one of the biggest misses
for sure.
from the state of Illinois, in their backyard. But I mean, he kind of gets overlooked. You got, you know, Chris Burgess, you got Jalen Williams, Dier Hill, Talon Taylor, like Nathaniel Marshall, like Epinesa, those kind of guys. But
Let's
I
get
think
on
it's gonna.
Let's jump to Jonathan Epperson. Sorry to interrupt you there, Sign.
I like this kid, man.
So what I heard was that there's a lot of people that like him at running back, and I think he's just too obvious of a like a middle linebacker. Maybe this is, I don't know how this affects whether like your projection on him, Noah, but I would assume this is the middle linebacker you got to the class. Him and ZRS. I don't know if they must have something else planned for Donovan Robinson, right? Or would you take 3 inside linebackers in this class with those 3?
Hell yeah. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, Izzo, you're taking 3 inside linebackers if you think all 3 are inside linebackers for one reason and one reason only. If you scroll over to your dog chart that you have sitting there, dude, look at the ages we have on our
We're
guys.
losing 4.
Oh, right.
Dude,
We're
losing. Go to the no, not that. Do you have the other one, like the actual list of guys?
I mean, I can tell you have 4 seniors. On your depth chart.
I mean, you're losing. Oh, there you go, right there. Yeah, I mean, Zoe, Bruner, Parham, and Bryant. I mean,
so Devin's not a senior.
Yeah, Devin's not. It's someone else.
No, but it's Drew Fowler.
Exactly. Yeah, dude. I mean, hell yeah, you're taking 3.
Yeah,
that's your entire production right there, and you're probably taking a 4th in the portal.
You're probably right.
So.
Yeah,
I think I have it on my
234.
I wonder about that roster construction. Like, I mean, nowadays you have to take multiple guys at a position, assuming that you might lose one of them through that stretch, right? And I think maybe that's the approach. But I feel like the odds of in this college football landscape that all 3 of these guys stay for all 5 years or whatever and play that long with each other, which obviously we hope. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I feel like
you have off that 23 roster. You have Devin Bryant still, and then is Jordan Whitney still a dog?
Nope.
Sorry, that was a.
But you don't want to add you don't replace those guys. You don't replace 3 seniors with 3 freshmen. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
You would,
agreed.
I think you would add 2 or guys that are going to be up and coming or whatever, and then you might add a portal guy. Wouldn't you guys assume that you add a portal inside linebacker next year?
Well, we're losing 4, so that's why I would say you add 3 at a portal. You still have Hayden Moore, who they brought in from the portal. He's a redshirt. He'll be a redshirt freshman. You have Devin Bryant.
That's why I think this kid's going to play outside linebacker, dude. I do. I think he's going to play outside linebacker.
Robinson?
Yeah, I do. Because that is crowded with the kid from the kid from Michigan. Or just one of those whatever outside positions. One where
I guess
I don't know.
They don't really run
like on my boy Kamori House either.
Yep.
I don't know. I think in this defense, bro, you need like 5 like legitimate inside linebackers in this defense.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. Is Robinson has already said they're gonna start him at like safety and see how his body develops.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either.
That would have shut up a lot of our conversation, dude. If this guy plays safety, I understand now your camp. If this kid, he will be a mauler, bro. He does have the speed for it. The straight line speed for sure, dude. That would be insane.
Yeah, I gotta see that.
That would be sick. I would love to.
Let's talk Epperson.
Let's go to Epperson. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting distracted here. We'll be up all night.
Dude, he's number 4 at Auburn Riverside. And dude, there's a couple like end zone shots of him because what was the biggest thing we heard on him is it was like he's kind of like his size. They were like he's like a tweener, right?
Yeah, it's like just under the height that you want for middle linebacker, just above the height you want for a running back.
Wait till you see this end zone.
They started Jacob Manu, Jacob Manu at linebacker for Arizona last year. The guy was 5'11", 230.
Yeah.
If you can ball, they will find it. They will find a home for you.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about this team.
Yeah.
I guess it's just. I mean, yeah. Okay, stop. Pause. But go back, Izzo. Bro, high school linebacker, dog. Hold up. Go back.
Pause.
Pause that. Like, go back like a second. Are you telling me this kid's a tweener, bro?
Nah, he's a
That kid
he's
looks
an
pretty
inside
damn good. I
linebacker.
mean, if I'm a high school coach and you're telling me that kid's my high school linebacker, middle linebacker, yeah, sign me up all day.
Yeah, he's got length on the legs too. Yeah,
We live in a world where it's a.
I mean, he's not
definite
6'3".
feasibility. Yeah,
where what?
we live in a world where it's a feasibility that we could see a defense in 2025 with basically the number one, what would have been the number one player in the state of Washington in the class of 2023 in Jaden Wayne, and the number one player in the state of Washington in 2025 in ZRS
Yep. Preach.
on the same defense, along with Jonathan Epperson, along with Caleb Presley, along with Jacob Lane, along with Rashawn Clark,
Yep.
like
I love it.
Tristan Dunn, like
Yep.
let's go.
Yeah, man, that's a
Jacob
great
Lane, too.
point. That's putting it in perspective right there. Here,
Yeah.
I'll click play on this.
Oh, sorry. And Victor Sanchez Hernandez.
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock the young man, our commit that we have not talked about yet.
Yeah, and I may even save. So tape on Victor Sanchez is hard. Victor Sanchez Hernandez is hard to find.
That's okay.
So I'm going to save his breakdown for next time because I assume I'll get my hands on some tape that we can watch. But from what I've heard from many people close is like, look out, like another one of he's 6'5", 235 pounds or 240 pounds, beast. He just fits this mold again, like where it's like, you're not going to turn this kid down. You can't not put this.
I think
kid on
there's a
your defense.
potential with a 71-inch wingspan for just to shift to Sanchez Hernandez. 71-inch wingspan, again, fighting background, Taekwondo, junior Olympian.
Yep.
Like, he's stupid raw. He plays for, a team that wasn't really good that last year. And
Oof.
you're looking at traits and you're looking at potential. And, is this a potential Joe Tryon situation where it takes a few years? Joe Tryon was like an 85, 86 overall, coming out of high school, and turned into a first-round draft pick. Do I think that's going to happen? But there's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, where does he play weight-wise? Where does he play? Could he eventually move inside? That sort of stuff.
I don't think.
But when you're talking about, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just gonna say I think he definitely is gonna stay outside. But I agree with everything that you just said. Like
I said, there's a potential. We don't know how his body's going to develop, but I would think. But he knows how to he knows how to use his hands. He knows.
Yeah, I guess he's a big boy.
Again, that plus wingspan is what you're looking for.
What did you see the 71?
It's in his some recruitment articles.
Yeah, I'm stoked on this kid. I've heard overwhelming amount of good things about him. I'm very curious. I almost want to save some of these guys. I know we talked about Epperson a little bit, and looked at his film. Just to button up on Epperson, he is a key piece. I mean, I just think about this defense in 2 or 3 years. What's the weakness?
The other thing that was super interesting, guys, is let's see something.
We're bouncing around a little bit, so I'm going to button this up with Epperson. Epperson is very solid. I'm like the rest of you guys I'm not worried about like him being a 6-foot linebacker. Like what I love about all of this is that the staff seems to be betting on themselves with development, and they've done nothing but prove that they can with less talent, with much less talent than this group. This group is phenomenal if you're comparing what they
I
did.
apologize. I kept saying plus wingspan. I think actually his arms are a little bit shorter, but I've got to go back.
Yeah, I was going to say 71 seems a little short.
Yeah, I may be off. It may be 81, but I'll go back and look eventually.
Is there anybody that we haven't talked about yet that committed just this recently? Because what I almost want to save, like, I don't think we talked about Keeney. We haven't talked about Hyde, which everybody knows that I want to talk about Hyde.
Yeah.
He's a freak. We haven't talked about Champ. I almost want to save those three for next week.
Yeah, let's do that.
Or save them for about 2 weeks from now, because there's a bunch more commits coming, you guys. I know.
Yeah.
I promised that we would talk about them a little bit, or like at least maybe just kind of hint towards some guys. Like, they're not necessarily secrets. There's some crystal balls in for a handful. There's some that are unknown that you guys should be looking out for, like the LaRue kid from
Zamorano.
Yeah, that kid is very, very good. And I think the best thing to do is to save some of that for next week and go over everybody at a single time. But yeah, there's a wide receiver. There's 2 wide receivers that we know about that should be pulling the trigger here soon. There's just like we said, may or may not be a couple corners, or one corner and maybe a safety that we've talked about. Just this is going to start filling itself out. Do we have? Do you guys have any guesses as to how many players will have confirmed and committed before the end of July?
Before July? Oh, we're in June.
We're at what?
We're in June, and there's a bunch of commitment dates that are being announced, and there's a bunch of commitments.
Yeah, do you want me to go over like
21, 22?
Yeah, Matt, why don't you do that? Like, what are the who are the names?
So the next one coming, realistically, that's like big for us. Realistically, that's like that we think that is going to go our way. Obviously, Dijon Lee is the 27th. That's sorry, Husky fans, it's not going to happen.
Nope.
Never was. But Caleb Smith, June 28th, just took an official visit up. They like him at edge, potentially to grow into interior defensive lineman. It's down to us and Purdue, and I'm sorry, but if it's us and Purdue, like, I'm going to go with us.
Where you would go to empathize.
Yeah.
You would not go to Purdue.
Yeah. Well, and especially now that Purdue, like basically the powerhouse Purdue defensive line coach is or was Mark Hagan, and he's at Louisville. So, which will tie into another player who's coming up, soon as well. But yeah, Caleb Smith, I like the potential there. Gets overshadowed a lot by his other, teammates at Parker. Some high 4-star guys. You got Dejai Ajose. I probably butchered the crap out of that name. Wide receiver out of Bishop O'Dowd. Yep, 6'2", 190, runs like a 10.8.
Big body.
So he's committing the 29th.
Do you like our chances there?
I think I do, yeah.
It's us and Cal.
Yeah. It's a wrap.
So yes.
The only reason I'm asking that question is you go Dejai, you go Lawson, go Vines Bright, and you go
Roebuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Roebuck.
Yeah.
4 wide receivers in this class.
Yeah, because remember when we looked at the roster construction of the class, and there's this huge disparity in age, right? Between Giles and Boston, and then the rest of everybody, pretty much. It's like those two, and then everybody's younger. Maybe I'm forgetting.
Yep.
Giles and Hunter are both seniors, and then you got Boston, who's a redshirt sophomore. And then everybody else is younger.
I think what their plan is, Noah, is they're gonna just load in young talent at wide receiver, and they're not gonna go to the portal.
I love that.
Yeah, I kind of like it too. Like it's like building it for longevity. It's also building it for demand. Because when that offense is in 2 or 3 years, dude,
you could run 5 with Justice Williams and like a senior Denzel Boston on the outside, and then run a bunch of these smaller guys, like these pure speed guys, which is not saying that, and we're getting a little off topic, but that's scary. That's filthy. Big Ten that'll be interesting. So getting back to it, obviously the big one is ZRS on July 1st. And so again, Florida State is in it. I think they've made, a good point. He was crystal ball to them in the fall. His mom came out for the visit weekend before last, like Norvell. I want to say Randy Shannon is still there. Then you got UCLA with Akaika Malloy as the defensive coordinator, inside linebackers coach. I made this point. Akaika, love the guy. He's never coached inside linebackers before.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing I saw too, Stein.
Yep. So never coached inside linebackers before. First time full-time defensive coordinator. Versus Robert Bala, who's coached linebackers at Alabama, Vinny Sunseri, Steve Belichick, Kafusi, and everybody can be like, oh, well, do we know if Steve's going to be here? It's Jedd, he's going to find something no matter what. And you never know. Maybe Steve loves it, wants a chance, gets a taste for the college football coaching life, and says, okay, well, I want to go play, Ohio State and show them what we can do, kind of thing. Totally. Out scheme that stuff. Then you got Chris Lawson on July 7th. All the crystal balls are pointing to us. There's been some rumblings about okay, well, just some teams want him as a DB, etc. I think Cal is recruiting him as a DB. Oregon, obviously, big time player in there. There's comments on one side and the other. And then you got, moving on, you got Aiden Manitai out of Kahuku. That's a good safety as well. Mm-hmm. I would say
I got to comment
Nebraska
on that.
And Tennessee. Go ahead.
Aiden Manitai is very, very good. We really want him, and he's highly sought after. I think there might be a school coming in late who's going to try to throw things for a loop. I just think about our safety, the construction of the safety room. There is so if you lose a safety, and you don't get somebody like Aiden Manitai, for instance, the room is so deep with RDA.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not to say I would be okay with losing Aiden Manitai because I really want Aiden Manitai, but we're going to be fine at safety. We're going to be fine for the next 4 years at safety at least. We're going to have supreme talent, where we have 4 or 5 really talented guys fighting for the same spots every year. That's the way it looks for 4 years in a row.
Yep. And then you got CJ May, July 12th, wearing his top 4. No. Tom Loy likes Louisville for that one. Again, Mark Hagan.
Fingers crossed.
So we'll see how that plays out. And then confirmed July 20, as of right now, July 27th for Ryland Dillard Allen. LaRue Zamorano in his post-visit interview said he's looking to decide in July, and it's basically between Washington and Michigan State.
Yeah.
So,
Go
a couple of other guys.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead with that.
I did forget about Smith Orogbo, the edge out of Texas. The Leaf Hastings, I want to say, is where he plays. He's committing July 1st. Sounds like we're on the outside looking in on that one, but still in his top 4. The crystal balls say Texas Tech, but Oklahoma and Texas both made really, really big impressions on him. I love that it has this as cool, but he's repeatedly mentioned that like UW, Oklahoma, and Texas are actually his top 3. It could be smokescreen, it's an interview.
Yeah.
Who knows? But there's that as well.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like guys that haven't really set, dates and stuff like that, but I know we're going after, Ladarian Clardy, Andrew Marsh, so another wide receiver, Donovan Oligbodi, and obviously Chase Sims, the defensive tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot out there still, a lot of meat still left on the bone. But I think when it's all said and done, by the end of July, we're probably sitting around 20. We're at what? Like
this is 22.
15? Yeah, so that's 22. So I would say like 25.
Yeah, I think
we could have the majority of the class. Like we should have the majority of the class like wrapped up.
There's a couple names I've left out of here strategically, just because this is what we think is going to happen. We don't know this to be happening. This is what I think. The one guy we didn't talk about was Afalava. Does Afalava have a date?
No, but I really like where we sit for him.
Yeah, I think things have really rushed towards us in the last 3 weeks for him, and the staff loves this kid. He loves UW. He's all over the social media hype train with UW right now, and
also helps we got his last visit.
Yes. Now, I want to we'll wrap this up with this. If you guys look at this class, these 22 players, I kind of know your guys' answers, but how would you say it compares those 22 names to the 22 names that Kalen DeBoer brought in terms of class comparison? Like, we don't have to go tit for tat and talk player by player, but just looking at there's a point that I'm getting at here. Let me pull up Kalen DeBoer's first class.
Jedd Fisch and Company recruit better than Kalen DeBoer and Company.
Yes, but and the point here is that I'm fumbling around. The rankings on that, if you were strictly going by that, do not necessarily indicate it. Because of one stud, let's go to commitments. Come on, Izzo.
I have a comment on that too, so we'll...
Yeah. So, go ahead with your comment first.
So my comment, you said because of, one thing. Again, it is June 26th. The rankings do not really finalize until about April, May timeframe of next year for the 2025 class.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of fluidity in that.
Right.
And so when you're looking at it, we had to go really heavy in the secondary. So you see guys, you saw, some guys who haven't even seen the field yet. Obviously, because we were fairly well stacked, but you also see some lower rated guys that have seen the field significantly in their first 2 years. So,
no,
I think.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Matt. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think for me, in terms of potential, if this class ends up where I think it's going to end up, and where I'm hoping, and ends up like my little mock that I will never say out loud because I swear every time I say it out loud, like we lose players that I have like mock to us. So silence, just like I don't predict, season schedules. I'm incredibly superstitious, but I think they're going to be really similar. That being said, like rating wise, there are going to be some positions where DeBoer recruited better, and there are going to be some positions where, exactly, where it's just going to recruit better.
Hold on, Izzo, before you go there, Izzo, I just want to say this. I went to the class calculator for 2023 and I took out all the transfer. If you take out all the transfers, you literally are at for 20 commits, you're at 222 points. Okay. It's pretty crazy. If you take out Austin Mack, right? That drops it down to 215. It's interesting because not that Mack isn't part of that class, because he surely is. But it's like, I look at this roster of recruits, right? And it's like, from that class, and it's some good players in there.
So,
man, I'm not like, go ahead.
Now think back to when we had the conversations about the last year, that class. There were guys in it that you're just in love with. Rashid Williams, Leroy Bryant, Landon Hatchett, those guys were like, when I think about that group, right? And I compare them, and maybe it's unfair, and I'm sorry for what it is. I'll just say this out loud. We're football fans. We love the Huskies. We're going to do these types of things. We talk about everything. No offense given. I'm not going to go player for player and compare or anything like that. But I just look up and down at the players that make up this class, and I don't need to look at their their ratings. And for the guys that I'm really excited about, that when you watch, you're like, holy shit, okay, this isn't just fluff and us saying like, oh, watch the tape, dude, please watch the tape. Like, they are like ZRS, RVB, we didn't even watch his tape today. Ryland Dillard Allen, I'm just going to list some of the guys that I'm like extremely excited about. Devin Hyde, RVB, ZRS, if that were to happen, Vander Ploog, Champ. I do really like Epperson. I want to see how that shakes out. Like in terms of if he ends up at running back or ends up at linebacker. I love him at linebacker. I think he's interesting at running back, but I think I want to see him at linebacker. So, if it's not very hard for me to, look at Baron Naone and, it's really not hard for me to paint a pretty picture with this class. Not even compare. That class in 2023 was great, but like you said, you take out Austin Mack, that heavily throws a 96 in that bump, right? And it makes a drastic impact on your class rating because he is rated so high and deservingly so. But the players that make up for the 3-star, the mid to, high 3 stars within our class, I'm just telling you, man, there's some absolute dudes in that bucket, like absolute dudes, to where it doesn't take a stretch of the imagination to be like, how's he going to shake out? Anyways, I just wanted to say that, like, to me, my whole point in this is that while it's not super obvious in the number of 4 stars and 5 stars that Jedd Fisch has versus Kalen DeBoer, there's a significant uptick in quality of athlete. And I mean, no shade by that. No shade to any of the 2023 guys. I think about Anthony James and I think about Diesel Gordon and those types where I'm, and I compare that to, and having to dig deep to find out like what Donovan Robinson is going to do. If you're going to compare that level of player, it's tit for tat, like, I guess I am doing what I said I wouldn't do, but still, man.
Shame.
I'm taking Donovan Robinson, dude.
Well, I mean, it's. I would say positionally, if you're looking at it like you're looking at realistically, are you going to take a Caleb Smith over an Anthony James?
Yes.
That's, if Caleb Smith, comes to us, are you going to take a Devin Hyde over an Anthony James? Yes. And again, shout out to Ant for everything he did with the recruiting
we're
class,
not
consummate, professional and stuff like that. But I mean, you look at some of these guys that, like, obviously we were very upperclassmen heavy, in the last 2 years. But you look at a guy like Elisha Jaquette, you look at, who still needs to gain weight, and again, projecting for potential and upside versus, like, Landon Hatchett, we always knew that he was going to be incredibly good.
Yeah.
And was underrated. Same thing, Rashid.
Curly Reed's in that same bucket. Coming off that horrible leg injury that we took him out of Louisiana for, God bless him. I still think he can crack this roster. I still believe in him. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's got the ball skills to do it.
But just think about but there's more 4-stars in this class, Matt, and I'll get off this train. This will be the last time I harp on this. And I'm sorry, you guys are probably rolling your eyes, but this is why you can't trust this shit. Not with UW.
Yeah.
Man. Not with UW.
I mean, you look at a situation like Tayshaun Lyons where we're like, oh yeah, Tayshaun Lyons, great. But what did we hear on the backside? That teams had stopped recruiting him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he fell down and it was basically us in Colorado.
Yeah.
And then we find out that we pretty much gave him an ultimatum,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but you've got, a guy like, and then, in that same class, you've got Keith Reynolds, who, I think is going to play significant reps this year. I think he's going to get a decent.
Good for him, dude. Good for him.
Exactly. Like, you stick with it. And I think, honestly, Utah's going to be a good fit for Lions as well. To each their own.
I want to show this.
But yeah.
I said that we would save this, but I just want to show you. I want to show you the 5th lowest rated player that committed to the University of Washington. I want you to watch his first 4 or 5 plays and tell me what stands out. Well, they didn't give us the arrow here. Let's go back so you guys can see right here.
52, yeah.
It's 52.
Okay, that was one move. Watch the move. Good. Not even a chance. Okay, there's one. Let's see if it's the same move. Nope, bull rush you on your ass. Bye. Okay, here's the next one. Right side, right here. Different move. Inside, beats 2 guys. Sack. Look at the motor on this kid. Now, if this kid played for IMG, what would you think he would be rated? Pursuit, down.
Or if he played for Moscow or Mater Dei.
That's 5 plays in a row where he beat his guy with a different move.
Yeah.
There's a strips. Yeah. The build. This kid is a 4.0 student. He is a 17-year-old, plays on the U19 national team for rugby. The notes that I got from him was that he's a vocal leader on the field, and obviously in the classroom, he's like boy genius. And then he is he's like a huge locker room guy. He's like just a gym rat. Then also, his motor goes all game. Like, if you notice these plays, he never gives up and stuff like that. But apparently, he has very, very good conditioning because he's running constantly on the rugby field. So
84 tackles, 20 tackles for loss, 10 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery as a junior.
3-star, recruited by Cal, UCLA, because this kid didn't go into the circuit. So therefore, he's a 3-star, rated 85.78. There is no way in hell that this kid is going to have a worse. So what is he rated overall at his position? He's the 75th best player in the state of California. Get out of here. That is so dumb. It's so dumb. Sorry, you guys. I know I'm going off. But dude, all that. the kid's getting recruited by Princeton, and my point is like, you would look at this kid and do your initial due diligence of like offer sheet, what's he rated, and then be like, another body. In my opinion, this is the best kid in the class right here, right now. 6'5", 240. He's not 225. He's like 240, 245.
He started to actually get some serious looks and invites to camps. I think he was actually headed to USC the weekend that he ended up committing to UW. So that's kind of a big coup for UW that we actually locked him down before he went on any visits to USC, and that's a win there, man. So Devin Hydeman, take it for what it is, but he can play. The only thing I'd say about him is he has shorter arms than what we would like. Maybe that's why I love the Durfee comp a little bit. Give me a play like Devin Hyde all day.
My difference in comp from him and Durfee is that Durfee, like, they're very similar athletic wise, but Hyde beat his guy on five different moves and 5 different plays to start his huddle tape. Like, that's such a statement, dude.